The night felt heavier than usual when Michael Harris wiped down the last empty table, his hands trembling not from exhaustion but from the quiet fear that followed him everywhere. Rent was due in 3 days, his daughter's asthma medication was running low, and the restaurant lights above him flickered like they were just as tired as he was. Then he saw the receipt on table 12, a perfect signature, a total that covered the meal, and a tip line that read 0. His heart sank, but as he reached to clear the plate, his fingers brushed something folded beneath it. A note, and in that moment, his life paused, waiting to be rewritten. Before the story goes any further, take a second to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel if you believe in kindness, second chances, and quiet miracles that change ordinary lives. Michael had been a single father for 5 years, ever since his wife passed away from complications after surgery, leaving him with their 4-year-old daughter, Sophie, and a silence that never quite left their small apartment in Columbus, Ohio. He worked double shifts at a downtown restaurant that catered to business travelers and wealthy locals. The job paid just enough to survive, but never enough to breathe. Every day was a careful balance between patience and panic, hope and reality. He smiled for customers even when his back ached and his thoughts raced toward unpaid bills stacked on the kitchen counter. That evening, the woman at table 12 had stood out from the moment she walked in. Her name on the reservation was Claire Whitmore. She wore a tailored gray coat, carried herself with quiet confidence, and moved through the dining room like someone used to being watched yet tired of it. She ordered simply, ate slowly, and spent most of her time looking out the window as rain streaked down the glass. Michael noticed the faint lines of exhaustion on her face, the kind that money couldn't erase. Still, when someone dressed like that left, no tip, it usually meant trouble. Michael had learned not to judge. Some nights generous tips appeared from unexpected tables, and other nights wealthy guests walked away without a glance. He swallowed the disappointment and reached under the plate, expecting nothing more than crumbs. Instead, he found the folded note. The paper felt deliberate, placed there with intention. He unfolded it carefully, his breath catching as he read. The note didn't contain an apology. It didn't explain the 0. Instead, it held a message written in steady handwriting, telling him to look at the back of the receipt and to remember that some gifts aren't immediate. Confused, Michael flipped the paper over and saw a number written there, along with a date and a time and the name of a foundation he had never heard of. The restaurant manager called out that closing time had arrived. Michael tucked the note into his pocket, his mind racing all the way home. That night, as Sophie slept beside him on the couch, her tiny chest rising and falling unevenly, he stared at the ceiling, wondering if the note was a cruel joke or a mistake. He had no energy for hope, but the words lingered in his mind, refusing to fade. The next morning, Michael dropped Sophie off at daycare before heading to his second job cleaning offices. He checked his phone during break and searched for the foundation named on the note. It was real, more than real. It belonged to Claire Whitmore, a self-made billionaire known for funding education programs and medical research across the United States. The date on the receipt was that very afternoon. The time was 2 hours from now. Fear almost stopped him from going. People like him didn't belong in places connected to billionaires. But something in the note felt personal, deliberate, as if Claire had seen more than just a waiter carrying plates. So Michael showed up, wearing his cleanest shirt, hands shaking as he stepped into a modest office building that felt strangely warm and welcoming. What happened inside that building didn't feel dramatic at first. There were no grand speeches or emotional confessions. Instead, there was listening. Claire listened as Michael shared his life without exaggeration, explaining how he balanced fatherhood and survival, how Sophie's health scares kept him awake at night, how he dreamed of becoming a physical therapist before life forced him onto a different path. Claire listened with the same quiet focus she'd shown at the restaurant, her eyes steady, her expression thoughtful. She explained, without excuses, that she never left cash tips. Instead, she left opportunities. Years ago, she had promised herself that real change came from long-term investment, not momentary relief. The zero on the receipt was intentional, a test of humility, of patience, of character. Many waiters had crumpled the receipt and moved on. Michael had found the note. Over the following weeks, Michael's life began to shift in small but powerful ways. The foundation covered Sophie's medical expenses, ensuring she received consistent care without fear of debt. They offered Michael a scholarship to return to school part-time, tailored around his work schedule. It wasn't charity, it was partnership. Every step required effort, commitment, and courage. Michael studied late into the night, memorizing textbooks, while Sophie colored beside him, her laughter filling the apartment with warmth he thought he'd lost forever. The restaurant noticed the change in him. He stood taller, he smiled more easily. Customers felt it, even if they didn't know why. Michael still worked hard, still earned tips that varied wildly, but now there was direction beneath the grind. For the first time since his wife's death, he wasn't just surviving, he was moving forward. Years later, Michael would look back at that rainy night as the quiet turning point of his life, not because a billionaire noticed him, but because someone chose to see potential where others saw service. He graduated. He found work in a rehabilitation center. Sophie grew stronger, healthier, her laughter louder, and every now and then, when life felt overwhelming, Michael remembered the folded note beneath a plate and the reminder that sometimes help arrives disguised as disappointment. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps these stories of hope and humanity reach others who might need them most. And before this story ends, we have a special request for you. Please comment the word "believe" below if you think kindness can change a life when it's least expected. Michael still keeps the receipt, framed on the wall of his small but peaceful home, not as a reminder of wealth or luck, but as proof that even when the world seems indifferent, purpose can be quietly placed in your path, waiting for you to notice.